Cynicism feels so smart. It feels smug. It's a really fun mask to kind of feel above positivity and delusion and to stay practical and to stay above the people who are spiritually bypassing. And yes, that is true, but it's still a mask and it's still ultimately actually keeping you stuck and self-protective. And I have to learn this lesson a lot because once I discovered cynicism as a mask, it was, again, it makes you feel so above and smart and superior because, you're not falling, you're no one's fool, right? But the truth is that while that can give you a sense of power in some situations, it will ultimately render you powerless because you won't be willing to take risks outside of what that kind of superior, smug person thinks. So, for example, there's a sense of superiority and smugness and cynicism with looking at the law of attraction, law of assumption, and those thoughts create your reality kind of tenets. And I like to poke fun at them because I see a lot of people using them as a mask. Like, you can use positivity just as much as negativity as a mask. But what I'm realizing is that how does it serve me to be kind of cynical, thinking to myself, the world's against me, so why try? Because in a way that's kind of can be a subheading of cynicism is what's the use and why try? And I kind of got that way when I was querying for novels. I got to this kind of point of thinking that, the publishing industry, they're all wanting to regurgitate SJW kind of liberal cult points more than have stories that are full of nuance and all the contradiction and paradoxical fun that we used to enjoy in art. So I kind of got in my head a thought, which was, what's the use? The publishing industry, all these industries are so, ideologically possessed. So what's the use? They're all against me. That's basically what it came down to. And that cynicism would then become a self-fulfilled prophecy where I was assuming that. And so in my query letter, for instance, I would have it kind of safe, but also kind of qualifying. There's an undertone of defensive-ness. And there was a belief that was creating my reality, and that belief was that the world doesn't see me, so why try? And so I kept repeating that, and then the more I repeated that, the more I got of that. And then I was thinking about, like, Tommy Wiseau, who wrote in The Room, which is known as kind of a cult movie that people like to kind of mock and make fun of and watch. What is it called? The Citizen Kane of bad movies is what it's known as. And see, the thing about that is he was so sure that he would make a great movie and that it would be watched by a lot. And he made a movie. He had plenty of money for it. And people watch it. Now, it's not for the reason he thinks, but it didn't hurt him to try because he still ended up making money off of it and getting attention. And so what's interesting is, he didn't go around having the typical kind of neurotic writer is smug and thinking, wow, I can't believe that person's so delusional that they would try this. And I'm so safe and smart. I'm just smart and I'm great at critiquing what comes out, but I'm not producing anything myself, right? So I was thinking about him and I thought, he pulls forward and succeeds because his thoughts create his reality. And his thoughts are, I've got something to say and I'm going to say it and it's great and people love it. And so I was thinking about my query and I thought, I'm just going to say in it that the character comedically clashes with the liberal or the left and right cults of 2007. Because it was like I kind of had this resistance to saying that this took place in 2007, because thinking that people might say no to that, and thinking that if I used the term left and right, that I would get, that people would hate that. And the truth is I've gotten way more results from coming forward with a query that was more honest and more owning everything than I ever got with a query that was very qualifying and trying to please everyone. And it sounds like a cliche, like, of course, like, tell your truth and everything works out. but it truly does work out. And so for me, I'm really realizing that the ways that having that smug, superior cynic that sits back and thinks, well, I'm not stupid enough to do that, or I'm not going to be made a fool of, I'm not going to risk that humiliation because I know better, that actually keeps me trapped. And it has kept me trapped in an idea that I'm at the whim of the world. And what's far more powerful than thinking that you're at the whim of a negative world that's against you is to be thinking that you do create your reality, and you can create it by how you talk about yourself, what you think about yourself, what you think about your books, how you pitch it. And so that really has been revelatory and so helpful for me. And maybe it sounds simple, but it sounds simple when someone says it, but once you've experienced it, you really do have this aha moment of realizing, I have been messing things up for myself by my assumptions. My assumptions that people would not respond to me by, if I say XYZ, keeps me actually extremely trapped. And so your assumptions do create your reality. If you do assume the best for yourself, you do get more. You do get better. Like, yes, people will say you're delusional, but what's worth it at the end of the day? You continually getting more opportunities and getting better, having a better relationship with yourself and having better self-development because you think highly of yourself, or thinking lowly of yourself because you think I'm not stupid enough to think highly of myself. I'm so curbed by realism. I'm practical. Well, you can be practical, but then you can be stuck. I mean, you can be stuck thinking low of yourself and then never getting where you want to be. You have to have a little bit of that so-called delusion in your assumptions in order to get anywhere in life. And I think that's worth acknowledging, and I think it's worth acknowledging that that is what the law of assumption and law of attraction really does teach you. Now, does it work? Does it also double as a coping mechanism for people who don't want to face the negative aspects of themselves? Absolutely. So I think it's important to be able to balance thinking highly of yourself and thinking realistically, so to speak, about yourself. But I think knowing your weakness, confronting your shadow, and knowing what's right about you and how you can always get better is so important. Thanks.